Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you so much for coming over here to Two Awesome Men. Just so you know, well, you probably already know if you clicked on this video. This is going to be a combo video. We saw The Lighthouse on Thursday.
Yeah, which was my birthday,
Yeah.
October 24th.
Yeah, and then I got majorly sick. I got like really sick, and I felt awful. I legit just like passed out when we got home, and I woke up, and I could not film the video on Thursday. And then we got tickets to see a pre-screening of Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, tonight.
Tonight. And so we were just thinking about, we might as well just do one video for both of them.
Especially since they're both indie movies.
Yeah, exactly.
They kind of fit together.
Yeah. And so since Jojo Rabbit is the main one of this, the kind of the big thing of this, because it is a pre-screening, we will go over that movie first. So here we go with Jojo Rabbit.
But if you do want to skip to The Lighthouse review, you can skip to this timestamp right here. All right, sweet. Jojo Rabbit is written and directed by Taika Waititi, who is most widely known for directing Thor Ragnarok, and it's based on a book by Christine Lunens, and that book is called Caging Skies.
Yeah, and this movie stars, I always forget this kid's name, Roman Griffin Davis, Taika Waititi, Scarlett Johansson, and Sam Rockwell. I really want to get into this because I've had a fairly like a little bit of anticipation for this movie, but not really a lot. I didn't really know completely what it was about. I was kind of confused on the concept.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and I haven't really seen much of Taika Waititi's other indie films. I've only seen Thor Ragnarok, which I wasn't like the hugest fan of.
Yeah.
So I did go in with doubts, but the trailers did look intriguing.
Yeah,
at least.
exactly. And I just want to say, this movie is fantastic. I love it. It's honestly one of my favorite movies of the year so far. And it's gonna be decently up there on the list for me, so far, anyways. Because we haven't watched obviously every movie of 2019, so it could go lower once we watch those.
Yeah, it definitely did have a charming feeling to it.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to say about a World War II movie.
Yeah.
That has Hitler as like one of the characters, even though he's an imaginary character in this movie,
Yeah.
but. It still had a very charming and heartwarming kind of feel to the movie, and the comedy was actually pretty hilarious most of the time.
And I do want to go into the acting in this movie because the acting's really good. Scarlett Johansson, which honestly I haven't seen a lot of like some of her best work. Like I haven't seen like Under the Skin or something like that. But this is the best I've seen her do in a movie. Scarlett Johansson. She has an accent which I've never seen her pull one of those off before. She does really well. It's a really believable accent. And the kid, I was about to say Roman J. Israel Esquire.
Yeah, Denzel Washington played the kid in this movie. He did pretty well if he was.
Roman Griffin Davis. He was really good, and surprisingly, this is the first thing he was. Well, this is the first like kind of thing he was in that could actually be considered like what's the word, credited.
Right. Yeah. If you go to his IMDb page, this is like literally the only thing that's on his page, other than some like ET appearance, which is probably for this movie.
Yeah, exactly. He does really well. Everybody does really good in this movie, and this movie is really funny, which kind of brings me to probably my only flaw with this entire movie, because I mean, not to say anything bad about the comedy once you get to a certain point, and it's not even that long into it. But I will say the beginning of this movie, you can tell there's a lot of jokes that kind of fall flat. They're not really cringy. They're just not as funny as they'd probably like them to be, in my opinion. A lot of people were laughing, so maybe you'd have a different opinion on that, but this is the very beginning. But there is a certain point that has to do with the woods and like a grenade.
Yeah, and Sam Rockwell's character.
Sam Rockwell's character. And that scene was hilarious. That part was hilarious, but literally, it's almost like right after that part, it just becomes hilarious.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because we were talking about right after the movie, and we both completely agreed on that. Like that specific moment. Yeah. Then on, it was like became pretty consistently hilarious.
Yeah. Plus, even the scenes before that, even though not that funny to me, it still has a really good charm to it. You know, and it really, that charm that it has really goes throughout the entire movie.
And also, a lot of there weren't like that many emotional scenes in this movie. There's probably maybe just a countable amount. Yeah. But like whenever they did go for emotion, it really hit me hard, especially this one towards the end, which I'm not gonna say. It just like hit me so hard. It almost had me tearing up.
And this movie does really well with the kind of hidden themes and stuff like that. Like there's certain things you want to go into, obviously, but if you don't know what it's about, it's just about a kid who he is a huge fan of Hitler. He's a huge fan of Nazis.
He's like a 10-year-old,
yeah,
so that's all he knows.
Yeah, that's all he knows in his life is to hate Jews and to love Nazis. And he's this huge fan of it, you know. But throughout the movie, he kind of starts changing, you know, changing his views on things. I'm sorry, my voice is so hoarse right now. But he kind of starts changing his view on things. And it's really cool to see this, to see the idea of something that I don't know if they were going for. I feel like they were, but they were never actually completely like blatantly said it, which is awesome. Is it kind of showed how ingrained just this brainwashing is of Nazism or just racism at such a young age.
Yeah, I mean, his imaginary friend is Hitler.
Yeah, his imaginary friend is Hitler, and even when he himself is starting to change, Hitler's still his imaginary friend Hitler, who's still in his mind, is telling him to do opposite.
Exactly.
Which is really cool because it's kind of that thing of like, it started to show how ingrained these things can get into your mind, these ideas of racism at such a young age.
And I do want to mention that since we went to a pre-screening, it was at our college we go to at UNT. They had a pre-screening, and we actually got a poster. Which, we got 3. This one's kind of wrinkled in the corner, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, overall, guys, this movie was fantastic. I loved it. One of my favorite movies of the year. Just so you know, like, I'm sorry this review, that part was kind of short. But number one, like we said, we're trying to do a combo, so we're trying to make these kind of short. But also, I kind of like it the way we made it short because before I saw this movie, I really didn't know completely what it was about. So that kind of is what I would like this review to be, is just how I saw this movie. Not telling you at all really the complete plot of it, just like little minor details at the beginning. But overall, I would highly recommend you see this movie. It's hilarious, pretty much from that scene all the way on. And when I say hilarious, it's actually really funny. You know, there's some really great emotional scenes, especially coming from the acting. The acting's phenomenal. Some of the emotional scenes are really heightened by the cinematography in the scene, and it's really great. I'm gonna say that Jojo Rabbit is 95% awesome.
Yeah, Jojo Rabbit was a pretty great movie. It was like Marquez said, it was pretty hilarious throughout most of it. It really makes me want to watch Taika Waititi's earlier movies before Thor Ragnarok. Even though I don't hate Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, Thor Ragnarok had like a really good story to it.
Yeah,
that really showed
yeah,
that.
and there were a few jokes in that movie that made me laugh. But overall, I didn't really like the humor that much in the movie. But this movie, Jojo Rabbit, does make me want to watch Taika Waititi's other indie movies. Like I said, the emotional scenes when they happened, it was a nice contrast, and it really hit you hard when they happened. But overall, it's just a heartwarming and charming movie that I definitely recommend, and it's definitely going to be one of the best movies of this year. I'm going to say that Jojo Rabbit is 92% awesome. Now the next movie we're going to talk about is The Lighthouse, which is directed by Robert Eggers, who directed The Witch. And this movie is written by Robert Eggers and his brother Max Eggers.
Edwards. Yeah, this movie stars Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's literally it. And some seagulls.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. And so this movie really gets to that sense of like isolation, you know, because that's pretty much what this movie is about. It takes place in pretty much one location, you know. I mean, they go inside and outside, but overall, it's one location, you know. And this movie I've honestly been waiting for a while. Like I've been anticipating this movie highly.
Yeah, most definitely. As soon as I saw the trailer, which I can't remember what movie it was I first saw the trailer for, it was some movie in the summer, this past summer. And like I was like so hooked from first watching that trailer, just how it looked. Because for one, I want to mention that this movie was shot on like a 35 millimeter. And a whole bunch of, I was reading like all the specific equipment that they used. Yeah. And some of it was legit from like over 100 years ago. The equipment they used was over 100 years old. So if that's not an achievement just on its own, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, Martin Scorsese, who says the Marvel movies aren't cinema. Yeah. I don't completely agree with that. But if you're going to call any movie cinema, it's going to be The Lighthouse.
Which, by the way, Martin Scorsese did kind of change his words. I've never really completely disagreed because he kind of just said it's a different type of cinema. Right, you kind of changed it, by the way. Just on a side note, irrelevant to this. But yeah. And what's really cool is a lot of people are like, oh, it's just a weird little thing, a little gimmick to make it popular, you know. But not really, because if you watch it, it really does give the movie a really eerie feeling.
Yeah.
A really eerie feeling that wouldn't have been there otherwise.
Exactly, and plus it's set in the 1890s, so it really makes it feel like it was from the 1890s.
Yeah, exactly. So the first thing I want to talk about really is Willem Dafoe in this movie. Willem Dafoe, obviously, there was no doubt in my mind that Willem Dafoe was going to do great. He does a lot of scenes where he has a very wide range of emotions in this movie. You know?
Right.
So that was really cool to see. But the one thing, the big thing that a lot of people I've seen comment and stuff like that is Robert Pattinson. Now, Robert Pattinson, I just want to let you know, if he is a great actor, if you haven't seen another movie with Robert Pattinson other than Twilight, go see maybe what's the movie called?
Good Time?
Yeah, Good Time. That movie's really good, and it really shows Robert Pattinson's acting skills. Robert Pattinson, in my opinion, is going to be, he is. He's one of the best actors we have today. And a lot of people really don't want to see that, and I just want to go on a very tiny rant here. Not rant, but let's just talk about this real quick. Robert Pattinson played in Twilight, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people, that's what they know him for. And I really feel like his acting skills are really on par with a lot of great actors.
Most definitely.
And that's why I want to say this. Whenever there's only 2 actors in a movie, and one of them is as talented and a veteran actor like Willem Dafoe, you are this other actor who really hasn't been in a lot of big movies and really isn't known for a lot, and you pretty much are on par with Willem Dafoe, you're nothing short of a phenomenal actor. And that's really what Robert Pattinson did in this movie. He was on par with Willem Dafoe's acting. And what was great is he never tried to outshine Willem Dafoe's acting. He never seemed lower than Willem Dafoe. He just seemed like 2 people in this movie.
Yeah.
And it really shows his acting skills and really how respectable he is as an actor. Not try to outshine Willem Dafoe, but just be on par with him.
Yeah, and I do want to say, since he's going to be playing Batman in 2021, I think, whatever. I'm not going to say this character is anything like Bruce Wayne or anything, but a lot of this movie, Robert Pattinson's character does have a lot of built up anger within him that he tries to keep at bay. Because throughout most of his movie, he's getting annoyed by Willem Dafoe's character. So he has a lot of anger and rage building up in himself. And he keeps that silent for a lot of the movie.
Yeah.
So it shows if you need to see an example of how great of a Bruce Wayne he's gonna be able to pull off, then this movie does show that in some instances. Yeah,
he's also in this movie. He also really shows a wide range of emotions in this movie. In this movie, we are going to talk about probably a little bit more than Jojo Rabbit, because this movie, Jojo Rabbit's fantastic, but this movie does have more things to talk about. And pretty much, this is kind of a movie where, honestly, you could walk out of this movie and with friends and just have different opinions on this movie. Not just different opinions on how you feel about the movie, but what you think it means. Because this movie is far from straightforward.
Yeah, it does not give you answers on a silver platter.
It's kind of like Enemy, where the movie does have a slight straightforward plot at certain parts.
Right.
But once you watch the whole thing, you're like, I don't know what that movie's about.
Right.
But you really have to look into it. And so that's really what I like about this movie. And a lot of people may turn people off. So if you're really one of those people who don't want to watch a movie that you want to just kind of watch and understand it right away, or you don't want to have to think too much about a movie, a lot, then don't see this movie. You're not going to like it. That's what I love, because to me, film at its core is an art form, right? And just like any other art, you're going to look at a painting or you're going to listen to a song. Some people may have different feelings about what that painting means or that song means. I love and respect movies that take advantage of the fact that it's an art form. And that, to me, is what The Lighthouse does.
And one theory that I've heard a lot about for this movie that I actually really love, especially once you look at it with that theory in mind, once you think about the movie, is that the Greek mythology connection that's in this movie, especially towards Robert Pattinson's character, which I can't really bring up because if I do, it's going to be kind of a spoiler if you know Greek mythology.
This movie also really knows how to use its cinematography and its filming to really make you feel on edge and really kind of make you feel a very intense feeling at certain times. Also, I want to say what's really cool about this movie is that this movie actually has farts in it.
Oh yeah.
But they don't come off as stupid fart jokes.
Right.
You know,
it just kind of adds more to like the tension between the characters.
And surprisingly, this movie actually is pretty funny. You know, at certain times.
Definitely.
It's not like a hilarious movie like Jojo Rabbit or something like that. But there is jokes throughout, and the jokes are actually legitimately funny.
Yeah, they felt so natural to what these characters are going through.
Exactly.
And another aspect I really love about this movie is just the sense of, because these two characters, they're starting to go mad and they're starting to go crazy with spending time alone together in this very isolated area. And so they're starting to go crazy, and this movie really shows that pretty well. It makes the audience kind of feel like they're losing their minds too, because you don't know what's real and what's in their characters' minds throughout the movie.
Well, guys, overall, this movie was really great. Man, this is a pretty decent year for movies, I gotta say.
We haven't even seen The Farewell.
Yeah, we haven't seen The Farewell. We haven't, like we said, we haven't seen all the movies from this year, and there could be even better ones than we've seen. So, but yeah, definitely see The Lighthouse if this kind of movie interests you. Like I said, if you don't like movies that really are not straightforward, don't see this movie. You're gonna be wasting your time on it because it's not straightforward at all. Just want to warn you on that. But overall, it's very good, very intense, and at times it really does get in your head, and almost like Zach said, it makes you start almost feeling like you're going insane trying to figure things out.
This movie really was the epitome of cinema, of movie making in general, because from the old equipment they used to them shooting on, that's another thing I forgot to mention. They filmed on location for these scenes, and a lot of times they filmed in extreme weather. So that just added to just the agony of the filmmakers and the actors, and it really added to the movie really well. And just overall, the atmosphere, everything, the acting was great. I do want to say that I do want to see it again because when we saw it, it was like 2 days after I just came back from vacation. So unfortunately, I kind of dozed off 2 or 3 times just because I was tired.
Yeah.
I was awake for too long. So I do want to see it again to rewatch it, and just in general, I want to rewatch it again because this is a movie that you have to rewatch over and over again to fully understand what they're trying to go for. But overall, I do recommend this movie, and like Marquez said, it's not a movie. If you like straightforward movies, it's definitely not it.
We are gonna say that The Lighthouse is 98% awesome. Well, guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, comment and let us know what you thought about Jojo Rabbit and The Lighthouse, which you're not gonna be able to see Jojo Rabbit for a little bit longer. When does it come out? November 8th? November something?
I'm not really sure.
Well, let us know what you thought about The Lighthouse, and if for some reason you're feeling generous enough to come back and comment on this video once you see Jojo Rabbit, then go ahead and do that as well. Which you might have already seen Jojo Rabbit because it is an indie film, and those get released randomly in theaters and pre-screenings and stuff like that. So if you've seen both of them, let us know what you thought about them. Let us know which one you think was better.
And don't forget to follow us on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at 2 Awesome Men.
And as always, thank you so much for watching, and you will see us later.